Rogue, which Bunnyhoppor throughout Grandmasters was just better than everybody at this deck. He has gone with a Secret Rogue again. This could be a long one. All sorts of stuff gets generated in this game, and anything might happen in the next half hour or so.
That is very, very true. We are just going into the tail end of the series, but don't be fooled, guys. Sometimes the Game 5 is longer than all the other 4 games combined.
Indeed.
We shall see.
They've already played this game the other way around, and Bunnyhoppor came out on top in the second game. But that was a regular rogue, not the Secret Rogue. But very similar, obviously, in a lot of ways.
Right off the bat, the keep of Illucia kind of shows you where Drievo's head is at as to how the matchup is played, and maybe he sees this going to the long game, going for value, so he already has that Illucia there. In previous times, maybe Illucia was a card you could think about playing on early, but more likely when your opponent is on the coin and you kind of just want to steal their coin and maybe a 1-drop if you're lucky. But nowadays, it's there to obliterate their hand towards the end.
Yeah, and that's going to be interesting to see how Bunnyhoppor goes around balancing this. Although, in fairness, a lot of the time you just assume that Lucy is not there, and if it is, unlucky. Obviously, the later the game goes, the less you can do that. But at the start of the game, he'll probably just play as normal.
And I would say normal Bunnyhoppor is generating a great 2-drop on curve off of the Pharaoh Cat. I'm a big fan.
Yep, looks good. Nice curve.
The only awkward part, I suppose, is that if he wants to continue the curve with Miscreant, is that he would Shadow Step Pharaoh Cat as opposed to One Thief, which I think is really not a big deal. One Thief can give you more flexibility, but in general, against Priest, I'm just a fan of getting stats on the board ASAP and pressure them when they don't have that much mana and access to their near infinite answers.
Yeah, and also as Rogue, you might as well. Like, it's not like the olden days where, oh my goodness, I've run out of cards on turn 4 as Rogue. I've made a mistake, and you never get your cards back until you draw, say, your Auctioneer. Like, you're just going to get more cards. So dumping stuff on the board against Priest isn't quite as dangerous as it once was, where you're not going to get completely wiped out with no way back into it if things go bad. Obviously, it's not preferable to do that, and at the end of the game, it could add up, but it's nowhere near as punishing.
On Drievo's side, I really like the Sethic on curve here. It is essentially just a River Croc, but simple Hearthstone challenges Bunnyhoppor's 2 minions very nicely. Drievo doesn't feel that he needs to go for a big value train. He just needs to stay toe-to-toe with Bunnyhoppor when it comes to the board, and later on, the big guns in his deck will do the job for him.
And this is actually messing with Bunnyhoppor. We're talking about the Shadow Step into maybe the Miscreant, and now, if however Bunnyhoppor wants to get rid of this Sethek, and you want to get rid of a Sethek, it doesn't work out for him anymore.
Oh, this is pretty cool. He Shadow Steps the Shot Bot instead, which is, you know, generally less value than you would get by Shadow Stepping the Pharaoh Cat, but it's still more stats on the board, gets to activate the Miscreant, and I think overall a nice clean spot.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of those things, I just automatically look for the cat. But yeah, if you're regenerating your shot bot, you're kind of doing the same thing. It's like your cat giving you another shot bot anyway, so
right.
Sort of.
Somewhat, yeah. Okay, simple turn from Drievo. Next turn, he can do some fun things with Cabal Acolyte if he feels like either of these minions is worth stealing. Lackey might mess with that a bit.
Right, how long do you want to play this game?
Yeah, that's the question.
Like, Spellkin feels like the natural pick, but maybe you can get away with a Mage Scribe and just be a bit greedier here.
Yeah. It was certainly tempting, because as far as 1-cost spells from Rogue, they're not quite so much value-oriented as aggro, now that there's Nitro Boost on top of Sinister Strike, etc. But I think the main factor is that Bunnyhoppor didn't have a clean turn 5, so he took the 5-cost card.
And I think that makes sense, absolutely. But there was, you've constantly got to balance this tempo-value equation, and it's very interesting that he is going for even more tempo.
Yeah, certainly. Okay, the Acolyte looks significantly less worse after the minions that Bunnyhoppor put on the board. Starting off with the test of the secret, Drievo gets the news that it is Dirty Tricks. Bunnyhoppor's secret package is 2 Dirty Tricks and 2 Plagiarize. So Plagiarize can potentially be a disaster.
Yeah, I do wonder. I mean, a lot of people like this deck. It is one of the talked about decks coming into the event, but how good is Plagiarize compared to how good it was when you've always got a full hand anyway if you play the Well Kick version? It's doing the same job, basically. Except you are drawing cards from your deck, I guess. That's a good bonus.
It's weird because I feel if people were returning to the secret version, I thought they might be running more copies of the 3/3 that lets you play a secret from your hand. But that's not in Bunnyhoppor's deck list at the moment. These are, I mean, average Jandice minions, I would say.
Yeah, they're pretty decent. I mean, like you say, nothing exciting there, but no damage either. Probably even slightly below average, but you'd still take it most times unless you're desperate, I think.
I've gotten one too many Blood Heralds for me to think this is below average. What's nice is he has Taunt on 1 so you can protect the illusioned one. Drievo going for the Vulgin, trying to snipe the Jandice right back. Doesn't quite get it, but deleting a couple lackeys from Bunnyhoppor's hand is still a pretty good consolation.
Yeah. And one thing that's standing out here about Drievo's play is he's just not panicking. There's several times where he could have done things earlier, but just really in no hurry to get this board. Just challenging almost 1-for-1 at the moment.
What makes something real?
Jandice pretty nice. A lot of the minions have enough stats that if they're rushed can deal with the Vulgin. This, okay, I believe is solidly below average.
Yeah, I agree with you. Absolutely. I'm anti-Jandice anyway. I've been trying to learn Battlegrounds, and Jandice just makes my life absolute misery. Depending.
Even after they changed Khadgar, right?
Yeah, it's just so complicated to learn. Everybody else learns it really easily, and me being who I am just takes forever to learn anything new. Jandice makes my life miserable in a good way. Like, she's very skillful.
Well, anyway, I was looking at Goblin Lackey on the Faceless plus Dagger to clear off the board. It involves some ugly trades, but maybe Bunnyhoppor is just going to end up leaving the 3/6 on the board.
Yeah, the Raz looked good there for a moment, but then you remember it's not actually a spell damage deck, so it's not the powerhouse it can be in Mage.
Dune Sculptor can be pretty nuts though. Bunnyhoppor, as we've said, from many months ago, he was already an expert of trying to eke out every last bit of value from these secret type rogues, which normally shouldn't have any business generating that many extra cards, but there are ways to play a deck on many different ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, and I believe he thoroughly enjoys this style of play as well. I think he just enjoys, the value side of things and weighing it all up. And that makes him very hard to play against because a lot of people don't enjoy these long grindy games. So whoever enjoys it the most is likely to last to the end better a lot of the time.
I want to note that this is an insane Lazul, not so much for... I mean, it's still a good result to get the Cobalt Spellkin, but it also just gave Drievo so much information because all the cards that he saw as options were generated by Bunnyhoppor. So he knows which Lackey is in hand, he knows which Dragon Bunnyhoppor discovered, and he knows what Mage minion he got as well.
Yeah, and is that the good news? I mean, the good news is he knows they're there. The bad news is Bunnyhopper's about to get all sorts of stuff over the next 2 or 3 turns. And Drievo needs to be ready for that.
Ooh. Wasteland Assassin with Rush feels pretty spicy here. So we can trade the Miscreant to get rid of Vulgin. And then just Jandice into Lazul, stay solidly ahead on board, and have no shortage of resources. It's basically doing everything Rogue wants to do in this matchup.
So that Elucia was kept in the opening hand, right? In the mulligan.
Yes.
So for me, Bunnyhoppor knows that's Elucia, or would they possibly keep Soul Mirror?
I could see it happening. Honestly, I don't play a whole lot of Highlander Priest, but I could see it being something like even Zephyrus that just hasn't, or Drievo hasn't deemed any situation worthy of using something as powerful as Zephyrus just yet.
Sure, but that card will be scaring Bunnyhoppor right now, right? So we're going to see, like, he played around the AoE from Zephyrs, he played around potential Soul Mirror there just by trading in everything very carefully. You do it anyway to get rid of Apotheosis, but, you know, more to the point, he knows that's a scary card on the left.
Right, and just falls in place with his long-term game plan of just getting as much value as possible. But for Drievo, that was such a clutch Breath of the Infinite because he's not only able to develop the board, he gets the best possible board state for an Ogre Master, which is alone. Because the only way most decks deal with a singular minion on the other side without their own minions is to use spells. And now Drievo gets a 2/2 for every spell that Bunnyhoppor plays.
Yeah, I wonder when he's gonna hit this Elucia. He's been trying to empty his hand, which is not the easiest thing. That's probably a clue to Bunnyhoppor what's going on as well. And any minute now, Drievo is going to have a big swing turn. And I think Bunnyhoppor might try and empty his hand, which is not easy to do as Rogue, even if you're trying to empty your hand.
I mean, from Bunnyhoppor's perspective, I don't necessarily think he'll be playing around Elucia at the moment. Because emptying his hand kind of gets rid of all the value he wanted to put together in the first place, which is with the Dune Sculptor. Look at all these cheap spells. It's a lot of value he can get. I think what he can do instead is maybe fill his hand with things more expensive than this, so that if Elucia does come down, it's not going to be deleting that many cards from his hand.
Yeah, sure. Play 2 6-drops, or 4 or 5 drops. I don't care so much.
So here comes the Dune Sculptor. There's going to be a parade of 2/2s, very possibly getting formed on the other side. So I'm not sure the way this turn is supposed to start from Bunnyhoppor.
I'm not either. Yeah, this part I understand. Lower the health on that thing and try and kill it. But where it goes from here, I'm not quite sure.
Maybe it is just a tempo 3/3 with the... I hate that though.
Maybe he knows that the spell is very likely to be Abyss or removal, but it's not.
Yeah. Oh man. If he goes Secret Blackjack, that's his secret used pre-Hanar. So it looks like he's just biting the bullet. The Dune Sculptor not quite getting as much done as I thought, but that's a Sage generated in a deck that plays secrets. It's interesting, because I don't think Bunnyhoppor needs card draw anytime soon, but you know, if he wants it, it's there.
Dave gonna have another look. Finds it, obviously.
Sage for everyone.
Half the hand, right, at this point.
A fair amount of it, for sure. Very methodical from Drievo, just eking out all the value he can from his hero power, under no threat of dying, under no pressure to have to use Elucia for answers, for example. He even has that secret passage, so any moment when Drievo feels like he can start really turning on the gas, he can secret passage, try and fish for Alexstrasza, or even a Zephyrus lethal, given how many minions he's managed to stick.
Yeah, and actually, the more you look at Bunnyhoppor's hand, the less there is going on in there. Like, sure, he's going to get a good turn here, but you know, double prep, not really doing much when you're on 10 mana and got very few spells, and a lot of the other stuff in his hand, whilst it could explode into life, it needs to, because he is actually facing a reasonable amount of damage now.
Right. This is a lot of secrets he can get played for now. In terms of the most valuable ones, I'd have to imagine Flame Ward or Explosive Trap is somewhere there because of the shape of Drievo's current board.
Yeah, now this is the choice. That's why he's thinking, do I take the Noble Sacrifice and have a re-roll, or do I take the rigged game, fair game, because, you know, I need some good cards?
Yeah,
and he takes the re-roll.
Really don't like the fair game because of his Sag, which is pretty much going to draw the entire deck here. I don't think... Sage probably not going to get played.
That's fine. I know what you mean. Can't think how you could ever make such a mistake. A
beautiful symmetrical Christmas Rogue.
That is actually pleasing to the eye. Is it symmetrical?
Oh, sorry.
I know what you mean, because I think it's symmetrical too, but it's not, is it? It's
in terms of number, but not color. Okay, palm reading, gonna get some nice discounts in there. Drievo knows already that there is no pressure plate nor oh my yog nor Dirty Tricks. Plagiarize, not even that scary at the moment because Bunnyhoppor has hardly any hand space.
But he's not going to want to attack, I don't think, at this point. He's trying to find the opportunity to get enough sort of bigger things down that an attack's actually worthwhile.
Yeah, explosive is too threatening here, I agree.
Must move quickly.
So yeah, with that in mind, he's going to develop some chunkier minions, I think. Like from where he's sat, his board blows up if he attacks. Like that's how he's going to see this.
Magic is not a toy.
9-9.
Pretty scary indeed. Bunny
Look at that ordering, giving him all this junk.
I wouldn't say palm reading's junk, but certainly the inner fire is useless.
I mean, do rogues have spells that cost more than 0 a lot of the time? They do, but not many, right? So
Fair. Well, that is an unfortunate overdraw in the Keyboard and Ivory, which is the only new card included in this deck, as far as I'm aware.
Don't let the door hit you.
this is interesting. I wonder if Drievo's just going to run Bunny out of cards here. Like, I can't see either player ever getting a decent attack in. Drievo could possibly force it, but he doesn't need to force it. He's 6 cards ahead in fatigue.
Yeah,
Might just
he
chill.
is. Yeah, he can definitely chill. Bunnyhoppor, like you said, has been eking out value as much as he can, and even though this plagiarize in certain contexts feels like it has promise, like Drievo just doesn't need to proc secrets, which means Bunnyhoppor doesn't have space to play secrets, which means he doesn't have room to generate more value from the Hanar.
Yeah, it's all right, Bunnyhoppor defending himself, which he's doing adequately, but he's not getting anything there. Oh, that's some nice insurance now for Drievo as well.
Absolutely. I think it's okay to start proccing secrets now that he can just trade some minions and make the explosive trap as painless as possible.
Yep, agree with that.
Tests Dirty Tricks. Then you test Bamboozle with your smallest minion first.
I had forgotten how irritating it is playing against Hanar. Reminder as well, this has been played on the Americas server, and although the lag isn't huge, if you're playing from Europe, which they both are, you do have to play and think just that little bit quicker to make sure you get all your animations in and stuff.
Very true. I mean, I said test for Bamboozle because I could only be bothered to think about the rogue secret, but he also tested for all this other stuff, which has now been cleanly procced. I think for Drievo, you're happy to see that everything is done in one big go. The Gruul is a bit alarming, but he has the Wave of Apathy, so at the very least, he can take some value trades on it. Ooh!
Wow.
Or 9/9s if he wants.
Yeah, I mean, who wouldn't want a 9-9, to be honest?
Okay, but
But he's going
Bunnyhoppor
to do it
is
all again.
wasting no time whatsoever. I mean, I'm hard-pressed to think what secrets he actually wants here, as opposed to just any secrets to give Drievo a hard time, if you know what I mean. Like, it's not necessarily advancing Bunnyhopper's game plan, but it is actively repressing Drievo's.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Bunnyhoppor, even though that's okay, that's not where he's at right now. He needs to actually generate a threat. It's on him. He's the one who needs to do this.
Ooh, oh my yog. Imagine you oh my yog a Plague of Death and it turns into a mass res.
Oh my goodness. You wouldn't even have to change the artwork.
It's true. They are exactly the same to me too.
The caster's nightmare, those 2 cards, when it's especially when the hand's upside down or something.
How much does this prize plunder do? I have no idea. Let's find out. Wow, the perfect amount.
It's almost like Bunnyhoppor counted it. Who knew?
Pretty good at that, huh?
All right, well, he has finally, yeah, he really is, finally forced Drievo to do something. Like that's a pretty hefty whack, and there's a lot more coming. So Drievo really needs to sort this out now.
I think this is a pretty simple Inner Fire into Plague of Death, the Inner Fire test for Counterspell, because there's now a Mage Secret in this mix. There's also Paladin spells, so Oh My Og is a factor.
Yeah. Drievo has been extremely accurate with these this ordering so far.
Yep.
All right, Shield Sun for 0.
Alright, Blades. Sweet. Clears off another secret. Finally gets rid of the Hanar after 2 repeat appearances. I'm quite sure that Bunnyhopper's Sage just straight up kills him in fatigue at the moment.
Yeah, he's really having a tough time of the random generation this time. He needs something urgently that's going to put some pressure on. Is there anything left? I don't think
There's none. He's used the Jandas. He overdrew the Keyword in Ivory. Very unfortunate. Passage into Passage does not feel good. But the rest is trash.
I'm out of cards.
Yeah, I was just going to say, he's got 1 questing left, I think. Oh, he's got both left. I thought he only had 1. Okay. Well, I guess you dump them on the board and hope.
You hope for Drievo to walk directly into a Plagiarize. Highly unlikely, because he's been playing so well around secrets the entire rest of the time.
These are actually annoying. Just looking at his hand.
True. Hysteria gets rid of 1.
I mean, they probably kill him next turn if they're not removed. So yeah, killing them seems good. Oh, okay. Well, that helps.
Certainly does. Why am I always thinking about Flare? It's never Flare of Zephrys is what I learned after. I mean, the thing is, like, he wants to obviously use a clear on the questings, but there's secrets to contend with before that clear happens, because...
Yeah.
So, it actually was Flare this time. I thought it was never Flare off of Zephrys.
I thought
I mean, like, as the right play. Just because playing Zephrys activates a lot of the secrets already. But, you know, this gets rid of the rest of them, and then Hysteria will definitely clear the big questing. In some disaster scenarios, it leaves the small one up, but it's quite unlikely.
Yep, seems reasonable. Not a bad card for Priest to pick up, Hysteria. Seems a reasonable card.
Oh, wow.
Good arsenal. Oh, easy game. Yeah, Bunny's seen enough. He wants no more of that. Drievo goes to 2 and 0, and Bunny 1 and 1.
I'm upset, Lorinda, because every time I think of or suggest taking Flare off Zephrys, usually it's Derek who says that it's probably not a good idea because it already activates some secrets here on and so forth. And it made a lot of sense for Drievo there. I honestly don't know if it's optimal use of Zephrys, but the key thing is that he didn't need optimal. He just needed to get rid of that last wave of threats from Bunnyhoppor, guaranteed. Flare plus Hysteria did that, almost certainly. And from there on out, Bunnyhopper's out of threats. So it's, I mean, a good case of just like knowing that you're so far ahead that you don't need to optimize every little thing and find the even more perfect card from Zephrys. All you need to do is win the game. And Drievo did exactly that.
He knew what was left, and Bunny also knew what was left. The second they removed, he just gave it up straight away. That's not being salty, that's just getting on with it. It's a long old day out there if you're going to play. Well, if you're going to be Bunnyhoppor all day, it's an even longer day.
It's true. I do have this slight complaint, though, of all the stylish ways to find self-lethal. Sage for drawing 15 or something into fatigue is definitely in my top 5 ever, and I'm so sad that we didn't get to see it.
Yeah, that would have been pretty tasty to see. I've got to admit, that would have been rather nice. So that is a shame, but I also understand Bunnyhoppor just wanting to apply logic, get out of there, and get on with, you know, the maximum to the second amount of rest he can get between rounds.